All right, we might get cracking. I know there were a few more who did reply to the calendar invite and the link that we sent around, but I'm recording the session, so I'll share this with Bianca, who can send it across to the rest of the any other people who couldn't make it. I just wanted to start by acknowledging that we're gathered both physically and virtually on the lands of Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, who've been custodians of this unceded land for many thousands of years. The University of Melbourne is situated on the lands of the Wurundjeri and Boonwurrung, the Dja Dja Wurrung people, the Eora Eora Nation, and the Wadawurrung people. I'd also like to acknowledge the people of Yalukit Willem of the Boonwurrung country who've cared for and managed the lands on which I live, and we acknowledge and pay respects to elders past, present, and emerging. So thank you for joining us today. It's an opportunity for us to present to you. I maybe preaching to the converted in some places here, but I guess it's an opportunity for us to introduce ourselves. If you're not aware of what MDAP or Melbourne Data Analytics Platform do, and advertise our upcoming EOI round for our formal collaborations. Today we're going to present a few slides. I'll share that with a couple of colleagues. So I'll now share my screen. Hopefully that's coming through okay. My name's Andrew Siebel. I'm the platform manager for Melbourne Data Analytics Platform. And we're a team of research data specialists working to enable data-intensive research across the disciplines at the university, formed as the workforce component of the Pedescale Campus Initiative, a 5-year plan to accelerate the university's capacity for data-intensive research. The PCI has been structured to support an academic-led vision, embedding a process of continual improvement through consolidation, development, and resourcing for both our digital science infrastructure and the workforce that will help maximize our use of that workforce, that infrastructure, sorry. And so the workforce component is who we are, MDAP. On a broader level, this is a diagram provided by Rachel Ramsdale in Chancery. It outlines the 23 platforms across the University of Melbourne research infrastructure landscape. These are supported primarily through the Melbourne Collaborative Research Infrastructure Program, or MCRIP. Many of these are equipment or facility-based platforms with a service-based approach, whereas MDAP is a people-based platform with a collaborative focus. You can see from this slide down the bottom here, the significant investment made by the university, but it doesn't quite capture the full complexity of the digital research landscape, as I'm sure you'll all appreciate. Whilst the PCI has been structured to support an academic-led vision and is fully funded by Chancery, MDAP is funded 50% through Chancery and 50% by the 10 academic divisions or faculties. So we have three key pillars to the way we work, and we are an academic unit with a team of highly skilled research data specialists working across the entire research life cycle, as distinct from a research service provider. And so therefore our focus really is on collaboration. And our bottom-up approach allows us to collaborate and engage directly with researchers and research groups. Our team's experience and background covers a wide range of disciplines and fields, and we're experts in digital methods and are uniquely positioned to understand the language of computer scientists, data specialists, and data stewards, and also to be able to liaise closely with research computing services and other IT departments. And lastly, whilst we're ultimately evaluated on similar metrics to those imposed on traditional teaching and research academics, we also value non-traditional and qualitative research outputs when we talk about research impact. So this diagram was generated recently. It was also in our MDAP brochure, which was circulated across the to the faculty leadership and executive, and it shows the cross-faculty interactions and connections to other university services that MDAP have facilitated over the last 12 to 18 months. Over on the left here, I focused on FBE, business and economics, and these are the number here just reflects the number of either completed or underway formal collaborations, and that's only a couple to date, but we have also been interacting at a project level, and that will be explained what the difference is shortly. And it's the shading represents the approximate or estimated breakdown of like data science, computation, and even data stewardship work that has been enabled by MDAP. I am now going to throw to Noel, who will introduce the team to you. Thanks, Noel.
Thanks, Andrew. So like Andrew said, that the MDAP team is quite broad across the disciplines. I currently have 21 people within the team, including the top left, Andrew, is Andrew Turpin, the academic director, and Andrew Siebel as the platform manager. We also have Joe as our comms specialist, and we've also got a business analyst, thank you, Andrew.
Ursula. Yeah.
Ursula, thank you. Mental blank. But the remaining core body is data specialists with a very wide breadth of research experience across research domains, organizational skills, and computational disciplines. And as a group, when you sort of work with us, you don't work with just simply one or two of us in the team. You actually get the entire breadth of the actual team helping out on that collaboration or project. Next slide, please. So the role of a data research data specialist is mixed, and we bring together our experience in research, both from each of the disciplines domains, but also the wealth of knowledge that we've all had around stewardship around data as well. And it all helps drive building a strong collaboration, not just with individual research groups, but across domains and faculties as well. We've got a couple of collaborations where that's the case. We also have a large competency in the utilization and use of cloud and high performance computing, where we can apply not just simply the standard statistical and analytical tools, but also in collaboration run novel and develop novel data analytics. And within development of novel data analytics, we often collaborate with specific groups. Next slide, please. So the breadth that we collaborate with you is at all parts of the actual data lifecycle. So we can help with designing and building the research question and then design associated with data collection and management of the data. So how best to house, store, pull in the data and integrate it in with existing assets, as well as providing intellectual input across the entire research domain. We also write new research software and quite often prototype things for outputs, as well as the integration and design of algorithms. So which all packages parts of the data analytical pipeline. Of course, as academics, we do seek to be co-authors where appropriate on research papers, and obviously contribute to those research outcomes. So when it comes to research we also look at data stewardship, optimizing the future value of the data that you've got, so beyond just the research question that's being asked, as well as interoperability around data sets that are out there. And quite often being aware of what's actually out there is extremely useful. And part of the whole mix is also managing relationships amongst not just organizations and people, but the relationships between different types of data. And we help develop technical competencies within the groups and the collaborations that we have as well. So as part of that, we'll also introduce, where appropriate, cloud and high-performance computing, how potentially best to visualize your data, the outputs of the data analysis, applying novel or state-of-the-art analysis, such as machine learning, natural language processing, skills within video and imaging processing, and a very large breadth of image and software languages and packages as well. And importantly, developing strong skills in version control. And there's a larger breadth of skills and knowledge that the team have. So next slide. As part of that also, not only is it around research and collaboration, but we're also wanting to drive advocacy around good data usage and data stewardship, as well as developing consultancy at an on hoc basis. And part of our role also is to help build a community around a term we're calling the third space. So helping build a community of practice around people who help other people do research, particularly in the data intensive community, because we're aware there are a number of small groups out there doing very bespoke or very focused work, which would be useful to build that community out. The next slide, please. So what's the way that you can engage with us? We've got two main forms, and the key form, which is what we're sort of opening up today, is the formal collaborations, which we do two call outs a year, one at the start, one towards the middle of the year. They're generally 3 to 6 month collaborations of high strategic value, not just simply obviously to the researcher, but to both the faculty and the university. The allocation is merit-based, and that allocation is done by an independent senior academic committee or research allocation committee. As Andrew alluded to, we've got expression of interests open on the 26th of October. Those EOIs will close on the 15th of November, and we'll share some information about those later. Once that's been done and reviewed, then full applications will be open on the 26th of November, with them closing on the 18th of December. The other way of collaborating with us is sort of informally, what we call sort of projects. And these are sort of informal, ongoing collaborations that the team have, either as continuing collaborations from prior projects from prior collaborations, or new ones where there's been an academic interest. They're always open, obviously subject to what the team is able to carry as a FTE load. But we also include consultancy and advice. So quite often we get advice, asking for advice on particular things like, is this particular HPC system suited for us, or we've got a particular problem, we would like some sort of advice on how or where we can go to solve these issues. So the MDAP-info at UniMel is open always, and we keep a strong eye on that. And feedback is at least within 24 hours. I think I'm now handing to Ed.
Thank you, Noel. Yeah, my name is Ed. I'm a research data specialist, and my background is in astrophysics. So in this slide, you can see a snapshot of the previous round of collaborations. We received a total of 60 expression of interest from all the faculties at the universities, all the 10 faculties. You can see there is a breakdown by area: STEM, 24 applications, humanities and social sciences, 21, and medicine, 15. Of those in the humanities and social sciences, we received 3 applications from the Faculty of Business and Economics. And after the EOI stage, as Noel was explaining, we had an internal triage, and we directed some of the applications, some of the EOIs, to different services available at the university, because this is part of the way we work. We collaborate with all the different services at the university, and if we realize or recognize that another unit is better suited to serve a project, we just redirect people. And then we also merged different collaborations together where we saw that there were commonalities, and then maybe the CIs would have had a stronger application by joining forces. So at the end, we had full 40 applications. As Noel mentioned, the selection of those 40 to become a collaboration for MDAP, the selection is not made by MDAP. Is made by an external committee, a research allocation committee made out of senior academics to represent all the different areas at Melbourne Uni. And then in the previous round, this research allocation committee selected 17 collaborations to be supported by MDAP. And at the top of the slide, you can see that we have 15.4 FTE allocated to 17 collaborations. And I want to talk about specifically one of those collaboration, maybe Andrew, next slide, because it involves a researcher from FBE, Michael Ziffer. Mike is online, by the way. And his application was causality in complex dynamical systems, implementing core algorithms in a distributed computing environment. And I've been working on this collaboration with 3 other colleagues. And the idea is to apply manifold learning techniques to analyze different data from complex systems in the social and health sciences. Next slide, Andrew. Very briefly, I stole some slides from Mike here. Social and health science phenomena are complex, and so are complex to model, are complex to study, and because of there are many different effects at play. So there are natural social systems with interaction, feedback loops. The systems can be non-linear and even chaotic, and they can show state-dependent behavior that can also appear stochastic. So it's a little bit of a mess represented by the bundle of cables there on the right. Next slide, please, Andrew. So current approaches to study social sciences and health phenomena are probably not adequate. So experiments, they are oversimplified. They could be oversimplified, impractical, or even unethical. And equation-based models also don't work very well. You cannot expect a set of equations to represent a complex phenomenon and capture all the complexity. Also, you need to know a priori, to specify a model a priori, which is then very difficult to test. So next slide. So what Mike and his group are using is a new tool, which is called empirical dynamic modeling. And there are 3 primary goals: reconstruct and characterize system dynamics and determine whether there are causal interactions, and create state-dependent interventions. Also, it must be non-parametric and work for social and health science data. I leave to Mike to comment on the details on the domain knowledge around this. We're learning a lot still. I am learning a lot, still not there yet. I can comment a little bit on the role of MDAP in this collaboration. So we started by setting up an infrastructure on the Melbourne Research Cloud. Because the main goal, the initial goal, was to take an algorithm that was written in a specific programming language, Stata, and to make it faster, optimize it and make it faster, and run it in parallel on multiprocessor to speed up the analysis of, to crunch big data sets. So that's what we did. We started by setting up an allocation on the Melbourne Research Cloud for Mike and his group to use multi-cores to run his analysis. And also now Mike is part of the AWS, Amazon Web Services proof of concept run by the university to get some resources on Amazon to test different platforms, for example, GPUs and different setups. The second part of what we did was working together with Mike and his team to translate the Stata algorithm into a better performing programming language, which was C at the very beginning. And then now we're working to even improve that using C++, and eventually we will use GPU as well. And so we're doing this in parallel. And so what we can offer as MDAP is the technical support, but at the same time we're very interested in learning the domain knowledge and the techniques that maybe can be applied to different domains. For example, my background is in astrophysics, and I can see how EDM could be applied to some of the problems I studied when I was doing a postdoc in astrophysics, in numerical astrophysics here at Melbourne Uni. Next slide, please. I want to briefly comment on another project we worked on with a researcher from the Faculty of Business and Economics, marketing and sales through a computational lens. The researcher was Dr. Martin Hirsch. And here the problem was to clean up and process a large data set of around 10 terabytes of retail store scanner data, panel data, and advertising intelligence data provided by an external provider, Kills, from the US. And again, I worked on this project with a bunch of other colleagues from MDAP. So once again, we set up an infrastructure for Martin to because you cannot crunch 10 terabytes of data on your personal laptop. So we helped him to set up an account on the Research Cloud again, and to go through to process such a large amount of data. And optimization was another part of the project, improving the way he was crunching this data to make it more efficient and more fast. And again, there was some parallelization added, plus some data curation that one of our colleagues did to make sure that access to the data and data management was done according to Melbourne Uni policy. And that's it from me. Thank you.
Thanks, Ed. I might, Mike, I'm not sure whether you would like to just say a couple of words, just with the interaction engagement to date with Ed and the broader MDAP team. How you've found the collaboration so far.
Myself.
Yep.
Okay, great. So sorry, can I ask first? Sorry for coming in late. I was actually getting a haircut for the first time in like 7 months or whatever.
Exciting.
So but it took longer than expected. There was a lot there. Yeah. Anyway, so is this oriented around MDAP itself, and from the perspective of people who might want to participate in MDAP as kind of working for MDAP, or is this instead people who might apply for MDAP support?
Yeah, no, applying for the collaboration into the collaboration round from outside, and yeah, right. within your faculty. So yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Sorry, that's my fault.
All good.
For not knowing. Okay, great. Well, then I can just say, first of all, we've had really a fantastic experience working with Ed and Simon and Daniel from MDAP. We started the process trying to kind of figure out what it was exactly that we were going to do, what would be required, the different kinds of technical and other resources. Like Ed said, one of the things that obviously we brought to the table, being essentially social scientists, it was very specific ways of working, very specific ways of understanding what our purposes and kind of objectives were, and those are obviously grounded in kind of a specific analysis tool or method, which is this empirical dynamic modeling. But it also involved obviously specific kinds of applications like Stata, which is a very specific statistical analysis software package, which Ed has come to both master and dislike, I think. But then obviously what we've been able to do together, which has been really great, is figure out how we can use the time and resources that we have available to us and very efficiently do something that will benefit not just us, obviously, kind of in the short and the longer term, but also anybody who wants to use this, obviously we're going to make it, it's all going to be open source, and we're going to release it kind of for the wider community. Obviously anybody who uses this program's data, but then anybody who wants to do this empirical dynamic modeling. So our problem was very specific though, and I think that that helped. So our problem is that these empirical dynamic modeling approaches, they kind of require, or they don't necessarily require, but what we've been using is a kind of brute force approach to analysis, such that what you need to do is you need to basically sort the data and find nearest neighbors for any given data point. And so that can obviously be kind of a very processor intensive or a computationally intensive task. And then obviously all the calculations that are associated with that, right? So in order to create that list, you have to estimate distances between the different points. And so that is, that's a hard problem. And so what we did initially, because obviously we wrote kind of an initial EDM package, was very slow. It was implemented in Stata. And so what we've been working on is speeding that up in a way that is going to allow it to work across platforms. And so obviously, you know, this kind of a traditional development process, you're finding bugs, you're sorting those out, you're, you know, trying in different scenarios and trying to break it basically. So we've been more or less successful with breaking it, which means we've also been becoming increasingly successful with with the implementation, our implementation over time, and it's just been great. So what we're going to be able to do, I think, in the next week or two is release pretty much a bulletproof kind of initial development version, and then anybody can start using that. It'll be available for free download, and so it's just been, you know, it was just kind of on a lark. I didn't know exactly what to expect, but I applied for the support, and thank God, because it's been really great. And you know, interacting with Ed and his team has been wonderful, and we're working now on multiple papers, and we'll all be co-authors, and considering some ARC applications as well. So yeah, I just can't say enough positive things about the entire experience.
That's great. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate
No
that.
worries.
And I'm really happy to hear that things are going well. I think also the connection and helping with you know, getting the resource on the Melbourne Research Cloud as well is hopefully something that we've helped facilitate, and
yeah, for sure,
and be that that linker as well with you know, the computing infrastructure required. So that's excellent. Thank you.
That's right. That's right. That's right.
So the slide up at the moment shows you how you can get some more information, but obviously we've got time now for specific questions. So, you know, we are always available, you know, at MDAP info, if you can't think of a question right now, or you wanting to run anything past us, or wanting to ask any questions, you can always email us there, or go to the website for any more information. I'm going to stop sharing the screen now, and I've got quite a few of the other MDAPers on the line as well. So if there are any specific questions, happy to try to answer those now. If there's anything that we want to go into any more detail specifically, I can also break you out into a small room with a couple of the data specialists on the line. So I'm not sure if there are any other questions at the moment. Just feel free to unmute. It's a relatively small group. So
hi.
So
I obviously know a lot about MDAP because I'm one of the senior people reviewing proposals, and I sit on the PCI. You know, I'm going to encourage that I think what could be really useful in these colloquiums is that we're not just learning about MDAP, but we're also learning about what else is available at FBE and what some of the other resources are. Because I think that's where a lot of the communication gaps are going on and across the university, is that we all hear about a single unit, but we're not really hearing about, you know, the different needs of different folks. And so that's, I kind of thought that this meeting was more around a round table around sharing what different groups are doing. So that's why I joined in.
Yep.
I don't know if others are interested in that or not. So.
Yeah, I mean, and it's great to have yourself and Rajiv here as well, Abigail. You know, from the institute, and knowing what you guys can do, you know, within the faculty is great. You know, this time last year we did a similar event, but you know, we also included other services, but didn't, you know, I think we reflected that, you know, we didn't represent, you know, what was actually available in the faculty. And so totally appreciate that. This was an opportunity that for us to really just highlight what's available in the way of collaborations with MDAP, but that, yeah, also maybe other opportunities, just not a massive crowd, I guess, to be able to highlight what other opportunities there are around.
Yeah, I think part of it, and I think this is where it's unfortunate that Bianca's not here, because Bianca would know some of these other centers as well. Like there are groups that are running experiments and create data and lab. There are other groups across the faculty, and that, you know, in the business school there's the business data and analytics team.
Yeah.
And so it just seems right now one of the critical things I think we've highlighted across the university is that there's a lot of groups out there, but we just don't know how everything is connecting.
Yeah, that's one of the challenges, and I think you know, we happy to discuss how that, you know, how that's I guess better, how we make better connections, you know, and facilitate our colleagues to you know, find the best collaborator, or the best, you know, the best resources, or whatever it might be. So yeah, always happy to do that. We obviously work across all of the faculties, and so our we've also got that kind of transdisciplinary kind of multi you know, cross faculty way of kind of hoping to connect people as well. That's I guess the other benefit we can bring to a collaboration, and we've had a couple of examples of how that's worked really well. And but first and foremost, it's important that all of our colleagues know what's who's out there, what that landscape looks like, and that's a continual process and challenge that we're facing with so many new you know, new groups and centers, etc. So yeah. I'm not sure if there's any other specific questions anyone had. If not, I can't see anyone else unmuting. Amy, sorry.
Okay. So okay, just thinking about what I want to ask. So I manage the faculty experimental research facility. And one of the obstacles that we have faced recently is we need someone to help with virtual reality programming, because we have virtual reality equipment. Is there any scope for that? Do you know of how we should go about finding that support for our researchers? We have some who have already got experiments done either through a video or in person, and we would love to be able to translate that into a virtual space, but we don't have the technical capability to do the programming part. So, yeah.
I'm not sure if one of the MDAPers want to step in. I mean, the person who comes to mind is Zahir in our group, who has quite a bit of experience in image processing, analysis, and VR. I'm not sure if anyone else who's on the line at the moment is similar. John, or yeah, do you want to just say something to that?
Yeah, so I'm working on a project. I'm one of the research data specialists when we're working on a project with an archaeology group, and they have some nice 3D data that they want to do augmented reality and virtual reality with some collaborations with museums. It was outside of the scope of our current collaboration, but Zahir is He's very good. He's another research data specialist and is an expert in this, but he also knows the folks in computer science that can put together maybe an internship or a research subject that would bring in a student. And I think right now we're bringing in a student to do that part of this collaboration that we can't get to. So yeah, we do have expertise as well as connections with the folks in the computer science school that can also help out.
Yeah, so I think it's worth Amy shooting through an email with what those kind of requirements would be in the first instance. And as John said, I mean, even if it's not you know, at a formal collaboration kind of level, which we say is, you know, 3 to 6 month kind of engagement, the kind of project or even student interns is another good way to get someone kind of get some who's had some experience maybe with that sort of analysis, but can do some intensive work for a short period of time. Ma?
Sorry, just wanted to add something that any projects that do come through maybe as collaboration applications, we do want them to be more kind of whole research projects where we can actually have some intellectual input into it as well, or so not something that's kind of completely baked and dusted and the only thing missing is to make the virtual reality thing. Those things are a little bit less interesting to us because we need to develop our careers as well and get research outcomes as well for promotion and career progression. So yeah, just to keep in mind that if it's just a small kind of project, maybe better to come through as a project, but for collaborations, we kind of want to be involved in the bigger picture and help in the bigger picture if that's possible.
I guess the other thing that we're hoping, I think, John, we're hoping to release very soon is the Melbourne Coder Network, which will hopefully be an opportunity to link researchers with those with, you know, specific expertise and skills, coding skills and or, you know, analytic skills that might be you know, something you can. So John, I don't know if you want to just quickly explain what that actually will look like.
Yeah, so it's a web app that any University of Melbourne staff or student can log into, and they can make a profile as maybe a coder or maybe somebody looking to hire a coder or bring in a collaborator. So it's you can think of it kind of as a freelancing website internal to the university to help share the burden of digital needs from both the research and professional sides, and use the talent that we're growing within the university as well. And I think on top of that, it's also going to be another place where all the I guess informatics ecosystem, all the members of it will be able to have our own little group profiles as well. So hopefully that would be a good place to kind of understand who all is in the game and who you might be able to contact to help you with different needs. So that should be, we're going to go to beta testing soon and should have it out in production by the end of the year. If you want to participate in beta testing, please let me know, because I'm always looking for beta testers.
Thanks, John. Yeah, any other questions from anyone? Comments otherwise? If not, I might